Welcome to the Jobs and Work podcast. If you're like most Americans, you spend a significant amount of your time working. In fact, we spend more time at our jobs than anywhere else. But how often do we really talk about work in America? On this podcast, the Work for Change team will. Work for Change, LLC is a team of social scientists, thought leaders, and digital storytellers who dig into the critical issues affecting American workers and workplaces today. Our podcast is co-hosted by Dr. Kendra Jason and myself, Dr. Chris Maycumber. We'll also bring guests onto the show who reflect the diversity of the American workforce. We are so excited for you to join us as we lead the efforts to humanize the workplace by building dignity and equity into jobs, work, and organizations. Please subscribe to the podcast and share us with your friends and family. You can learn more about Work for Change at workforchangellc.com.
Hi, welcome to the Jobs and Work with Work for Change podcast. This is episode number 30, and we have special guest today, Ashley and Company. Ashley, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me.
All right, so I'm going to give a quick bio on Ashley so we know who she is, and then I want to jump into this interview because I've been so excited to have Ashley on our podcast. So Ashley Company is a speaker, world traveler of over 100 countries, and curator of amazing service, cultural, and self-discovery trips to the end of Africa. She is founder of Jelani Women, which does international service trips for Black women, and Jelani Girls, which is the National Cultural Enrichment Program. She's a graduate of Hampton University. She's the author of a #1 bestseller on Amazon called Travelish. She's the owner of Crowned by Jelani, which is a jewelry and accessory company with different products inspired by Africa. She has been recognized by Forbes Next 1000, Facebook, Uber, BuzzFeed, MailChimp, list goes on. And Ashley is on a personal journey to help us rediscover Africa through travel and storytelling. And so, as you can tell, I have been looking for Ashley to be on this show for a long time. It's so funny. She doesn't know this, but I started this podcast, I think back in January, and you were one of the first people that I thought about inviting to the show. But this is the thing. So Ashley is very, very, very active on social media. And every time I see Ashley, she is in Egypt or Morocco or just across the country. Right now, she is in East Africa as we speak, right? And so the fact that she carved out the time to share with us today, I'm so grateful. So I just want to thank you again for being here.
Sure.
You know what? I'm a long time, just a little bit. So I know Ashley back from when Ashley was a company truck delivery driver. And now she is the owner and founder of these multiple companies or subsidiaries of her business. So, can you just start by letting us know, how'd you take that leap from corporate America into what seems like the freedom and the excitement of these trips that you curate and the other businesses that you have?
Yeah, sure. So, when I met you back in North Carolina, I was running a district of large and small format stores for Pepsi and Frito-Lay. And so, I was dishing out those trips on those trucks with a team of 15 full-time employees who were the main people running the trucks. But when I first started, I had to learn how to do it myself. And so through the winter, through the summer, I was out there and I was just learning a lot of leadership lessons that would carry on through my entrepreneur endeavors. And so once I left Pepsi after about 4 years, then I decided that I wanted to go to business school because I thought I had enough, leadership experience in corporate America to pay my dues. But I said I wanted to take a year to travel. And so that really shifted everything. That year, I still haven't gone to business school because everything changed. That year when I traveled, I knew that I was going to do it. So a year before I left, I taught myself Spanish. And then when I left, I basically started in Mexico and worked my way solo travel back in 2012 all the way down to Argentina. And I mentioned 2012 because at that time, what we know today is the Black travel movement didn't exist.
Right.
Instagram didn't exist.
Right.
At least as far as I know, just so many things, just the ways and trying to figure it out. I was really creating a blueprint and a framework for my companies that I didn't know. And when I was traveling, I really walked away with two major things.
Yeah.
One was that globally, Black people are the majority. And so all this time growing up in schools, hearing that I'm inferior and that we're a minority and things like that, I realized that wasn't true. And I also realized that enough Black people, because I saw indigenous Black people all across Latin America.
Right.
But another thing I realized, the second thing, was that there were no other Black people who weren't from the country I was in at the time traveling. So where are all other Black Americans? I met one Black woman throughout that entire year, and she was from Canada. But so I was just like, we have to do something about this. And so I know there's a lot of other really large travel companies today who were having the same type of thoughts and feelings in 2012, and they kind of took to Instagram, which was really smart. But for me, I decided to work with young people, and I thought maybe I can shift and change and mold the minds of young people from an early age, teaching them how to be citizens of the world, and just thinking if I would have had a program, that would comfortably and safely take them abroad or take me abroad, where would I be? And so I created my charity, Jelani Girls, in 2013. And that's pretty much, I saw like a need. It was like right now, I wanted to go to business school so they could teach me how to run a thriving nonprofit and really have a lot of impact. But there was so much happening with Trayvon Martin's case. And just like the Oprah showing Black dolls and white dolls and little girls pointing at the Black dolls and saying they're ugly. And I'm like, if they just knew that globally they're beautiful and globally they're represented all over the world, I just thought that would really shift things. And so I decided to bypass school because I felt like I couldn't wait 2 years for an MBA to teach me how to do something, and I would have to figure it out. And I've literally been figuring it out ever since 2013 when I founded Jelani Girls. And there was so many women who just wanted to be a part of that I then created the for-profit company, Jelani Women Travel, creating cultural enriching vacations with purpose for empowered Black women who want to vacation across 15 countries in Africa.
Oh my God. So yes, I'm one, right? So I've been watching Ashley for a long time. And I remember when Ashley was, is backpacking the right word? When you was okay.
Backpacking.
Yeah, I just want to say it right. So
Jelani Women Travel does not backpack, but at that time we were backpacking. I was backpacking. Right.
So way back again, around 2012, 2013, Ashley was backpacking across South America. And I forgot how you were communicating what you were doing. It may have been through some social media, maybe
definitely Facebook.
Facebook, right? Because I wasn't on much social media, but Facebook. Yeah. And I remember I was like, how in the world is she just backpacking across South America, right? And then, of course, I was like, how can she do it? How can she afford it? How can she navigate it? And then guess what Ashley did? Without just reading my mind, Ashley wrote, I think, a blog. And the blog was basically like, so many people had come to you, or you had heard so many people say, like, how are you doing this? And you laid out exactly like how to, independently backpack across different countries. And that was the first for me, other than just like noting like your bravery and your independence and your just, the explorer in you to go on, this journey. And I can only imagine the amount of self-discovery that you had on these journeys, in addition to building onto your ideas for your business. But you didn't go out there thinking you was gonna start a business, right?
No.
Yeah. But the fact that you immediately responded to like, hey, you can do this too. Like, let me show the key, the secrets to success. And so I thought that in itself was probably one of the first sparks that I saw that, that put you probably on this trajectory of oh, okay, let me bring people in. Let me bring people into this world. And so now you have Jelani Women. So tell us about the connection between Jelani Women and Jelani Girls.
Sure. So basically, Jelani Girls is our charity where we were focusing mainly of taking Black girls in America, ages 14 to 18, to different Black destinations. So
yes.
we mainly go to Africa. We started in Ghana. We've taken them to South Africa. We had some support from the U.S. Embassy of Trinidad and Tobago. So we were there as well. But it's a huge feat raising that type of money for, you know, girls and the liability. And we also sponsor girls in the country that we go to so they get to know one another. So that's
awesome. Yep.
You know, within the country and doing different activities. And so, you know, raising that money, I realized that the best way for me to do that with all the women wanting to be chaperones was for me to create an experience for them that they also never had as a child, and that they also deserve as Black women when we know we give our last to everyone. And so for them to invest in themselves and have that cultural journey and self-discovery and just freedom and vacation and joy, I created that experience for them. And it comes at a premium because I'm a world travel expert and I make sure that they don't have to think and plan about anything. And so we use the profit for that to sponsor and fundraise for our girls. So they're very connected because these are Black women who deserve to have these experiences, but they also get a chance to support Black girls, whether they know their name or not, because they know that they also used to be that little Black girl who deserves that opportunity. So it's really about legacy and community building, and just kind of lifting as we climb. And so that's pretty much how they're connected. Then we also created Crown by Jelani during COVID with the travel bans. Where our girls and our women, no one was going anywhere for all of 2020. It was really devastating to our company, but we wanted to figure out a way where we could still support our mission for our charity. And so I was always doing, when I do different speaking engagements, I would do fun, interactive, historical context around head wrap tutorials. And we would also sell head wraps. That was just something that I was just always doing. And so we kind of turned that into an online accessories brand where we started adding more things that I would, you know, I went from curating experiences to really curating looks and fashion, African fashion. So waist beads, African waist beads imported from Ghana, earrings, African inspired t-shirts, just different things that could bring a little bit of Africa to us while we couldn't go anywhere, while we were kind of, you know, shut in and everything was shut down. And so that's how Crown by Jelani came to exist. And every thing that we do, there's always the word Jelani people will notice in there. And that's because Jelani means greatness. And we are called to help Black women and girls reimagine their greatness through Africa education, African accessories, and Africa travel.
So another reason I've been following Ashley so closely is because when she started Jelani Girls back in 2012, I have a daughter, but she was only like 3 years old. And back then I was like, oh, I can't wait for her to turn 13. I thought it was 13. I couldn't wait for her to turn 13 or 14 so she could go on this trip, right?
No, it was because I called you and I was like, look, I said, Kennedy, she can be 12, 13, no matter, she can come with us. Even though our age was 14, I'm like, she'll be good. I know who her mom is. She'll be good for her.
But that was really important, you know, because I was like, my daughter is not, you know, ready or, if you will, eligible for this yet, but I'm going to watch it. I'm going to support as much as I can until then. And then you created Jelani Women, which is another avenue as well. And so as we were waiting, so just this year, you created the Jelani Girls Cultural Enrichment Program, like the online school. And so we participated in that as well. And I just want to commend you because my daughter really enjoyed, and it was so funny because when she did her lessons, it was an 8-part series. And when she did her lessons, she would always come into my office where I'm working and she would do it with me and she would have us do them together. And she would like quiz me. She would tell me the stuff and she would quiz me and we would go back and forth. So that at home experience, you know, again, with COVID and everything, it was for her, but just like your programs, it's more of a community experience. And so I just want to commend you on the vision to do that type of outreach, because my daughter, you know, I'm like a scholar of race and everything, and you know, I'm pro-Black and everything, but she, you know, she goes to school in like white predominant schools. Well, actually, her school is not white predominant, but you know, we live in a predominantly white society, and so the messaging that she gets from television and from media and from other outlets is, as you say, the same messaging that we got when we were in school, and that's just like, you know, Black people across the world are never the center of the story. We're always servants or helpers or slaves or, you know, something in relationship to white people. And that just, you know, was a direct lesson, not anything embedded in the school system or embedded in a lesson, but a direct lesson that was just about us. And so that was just really cool.
Thank you for saying that. I really appreciate that. Yeah, so COVID really knocked all kind of things down, and I was just too committed. I'm like, we've been at this since 2013 with this sole mission of just really trying to help Black people ultimately understand more about themselves. And I believe that you do that when you understand more about Africa, when you reimagine Africa, when you change the way that you see Africa, you change the way that you see yourself. And so I was like, but I always knew travel. That's just what travel.
That's the key.
I'm like, I got to show you better than I can tell you. I have to take you here. And when COVID said, you're not taking anybody anywhere, I personally, you know, went through a period of like darkness and sadness and like, what is my purpose? Because God, you've been like pushing this thing all the way through when I didn't know how we would raise enough money for the next girl. Somehow we would make a way, somebody would give us a grant, somebody would, you know, make a donation, and we would figure it out. And it was always a sign that, okay, so I'm doing what you called me to do and we're good. And so when COVID came and it was like, you can't do what you thought you were called to do, that you thought you were on, I'm like, okay, then God, what do I do? And it took a while, but we were able to, again, to raise the money, we did the accessories, but I still was like, but how do we create the impact? And how do we And so that's when we came up with the Passport to Cultural Freedom, the online learning program. And what was really special about that is I was so attached because I know what saved me, which was travel. With being third generation military, my grandparents were retired Air Force, my mom retired Army. And so I grew up traveling, and I know for the fact that that's what helped mold me into the person that I am. And so I wanted to do that for young people. And I thought that was the only way. And COVID showed me that even if we physically travel, I can still teach them about the importance of Africa, how it relates to them. And so that we can plant that seed so that even if they never travel with Jelani Girls, but we know that they will eventually travel, because we're going to, really put that into their mind. And we're also going to equip them with the access you need to travel the world as a citizen of the world, which is the passport. And so it really shifted and changed our whole mission. And because of that, as a result, we're able to reach a lot more children. And it's also why we changed it to not just girls, because it's about physically traveling and what that can look like with the movement and the logistics of that. It's like, no, this is the education portion. Boys and girls get to have this experience. And because it was the education portion, we were able to lower the age limit, because you're not necessarily.
That's true.
It went from 14 to 11. So that made our reach a lot wider. And I was like, oh, okay, God, I see what you're doing, because I thought it had to be travel for me to shift their minds. And so they had to be older, and I needed to work with girls separately from boys, and we would do boys later. But this new change, even though COVID has been very difficult, there have been some positive outcomes. And I think one of them is this new online learning program reaching more children and not just girls.
And earlier, more children sooner.
More children. more people have access to the opportunity.
Yep.
We are able to fundraise for more program participants.
Yep.
Because, I mean, if you just think about the simple math, we're raising $5,000 a student to fully equip them with the education, the passport, their vaccinations, their flights, their food, their everything. Yep. Versus now, what we really have to focus on is a much wider net of a lot more young people coming into the fold, where we need to support them with the online learning program and the passport, which is, it just allows us to reach more children.
Awesome. So one of the things that I'm thinking about too, so many things. One, I really appreciate how you spoke on how, COVID-19, as you say, was traumatic and challenging for many people on a lot of different levels. But for many business owners and people who are thinking about starting your own business, it actually offered opportunities, because it forced us to be more creative and to think outside. Even like you said, I love the way you said, like, even though you like, God gave me this purpose and this plan and basically all the avenues to do it, and then all of a sudden it got closed. And then how do you make sense of that, right? And just use quickly talking about, your process of making sense of what God was doing in your life with different resources and how it actually broadened your reach is an awesome lesson. One thing I really want to quickly say is that, I've traveled internationally myself, and every time I travel, it's a chaperone trip. I'm never like, I never did the backpacking like Ashley did here, but Ashley's trips are so organized and structured to the point where, like, you don't have to think about anything but showing up, doing the service and having fun. And that's just like, as a person who, like, I love to travel. I love to travel internationally, but it's still really scary to me because there's a great unknown. But when I have that chaperone, or, I pay that travel agency or that guide, and I can just, it just relieves all the stress. And so, we have Ashley's information is below for including AshleyIanCompany.com and your organizations as well. So if you're interested in just seeing what these curated trips look like, the pictures are beautiful. You have videos, you have some fun, some Instagram photos and things like that. And so it just shows the range, because when you do service work, it's all not just like the grind. You can have fun and you can empower yourself. And I do actually really like the idea that your Jelani Women trips are for women. And there is not the family. They don't have to worry about the kids or the boyfriend or just like, you can just center yourself and just be yourself in that experience without worrying about what's happening at home. And then you make it so that they don't have to worry about anything logistically, right? And so I just want to commend you on that as well.
Thank you. Yeah, it's for us and by us. We deserve it. Of course, a lot of the women are repeat travelers, and after the third and fourth trip, they're getting basically hate mail like, okay, when is my husband going to be able to come? He's not going to let me go on another trip. And so we actually literally there has been so much demand that we do one specialty trip a year where we'll invite men. So for example, for New Year's in Ghana, the men are allowed to come, whether it's brother, husband, best friend. And next year, our one trip will be a couples trip in Morocco. So those aren't necessarily listed on our site. You just have to, join our email list and be in the know, or just reach out to me and see like what you got going on. So we do that. And then of course, with private trips that we've done, with universities, with churches, with fraternities, sororities, it doesn't matter. I've done a lot of private trips where it's just like someone's, 40th birthday or 50th birthday. So in those situations where they're private trips, anyone can come. Doesn't matter who you are, what gender, race, or anything like that. But if it's our open trips, it is especially curated for Black women.
Yes, I'll just talk really briefly about, I've always heard from, again, following social media, that the New York, the NYE, the New Year's Eve in Ghana is like the lit trip. Like
it goes down.
It goes down.
I don't always go on all of the trips, but trust and believe, I'll be on that trip. I've never missed a Ghana New Year's Eve trip.
And then another one, I think it's a more recent one, where you had the the Nile cruise, and you posted live on that one. I've been talking about that one to everybody since you posted that a couple of weeks ago. And I was like, the boat goes on like close to the bank and you can see, and you could, like, I was there. I plan to be there sooner than later. And so, before we wrap up, again, I thank you so much for your time. The internet guys are with us right now. So if there's any advice that you have for anyone who's thinking about doing something different, like if they're in the corporate world and they're thinking about doing something different, or if they're like scared to travel or do the next thing, what type of advice would you offer for them?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, I think COVID has shown us, the time is now. And we have one life. We really have to be grateful for the moments that we have. Time is something that we can't get back. So whatever is on your heart, just do it. Just do it. Make a plan. I'm not the one that says, just go run to California with $15 in your pocket. It worked out for Taraji P. Henson, but that we're not all Taraji P. Henson.
Right.
That may be her testimony. That wasn't mine. I planned for a year, not just teaching myself Spanish before I left my company, but I also saved vigorously so I could feel financially comfortable.
Right.
But at some point, there can always be an excuse. Well, my Spanish still isn't expert, or
right.
But I could use another 2 more months of right. saving. Always going to be. So you have to find that fine balance of I'm planning, I'm prepared, but I also have to push myself on out there. So you plan as much as you can, you prepare as much as you can, but eventually you can always do more. And it comes that fine line where you just have to push and really just jump out there. So I would say that would be relatable to whether you're trying to, tap into entrepreneurship or tap into your first international trip or your first travel experience. There's planning, there's all the research you can do all day, there's all the saving you can do all day, but eventually you do have to take that leap, and you can start small, whatever that might look like to you, but you have to start somewhere, or you'll always be in the same, I'm gonna get around to it phase. And COVID has taught us we don't want to wait on that.
I co-sign everything that Ashley Company just said. And so, at Work for Change, we have a Start Your Own Business workshop. And this weekend, actually on September 18th, we're doing an abbreviated version. It's called The Vision. And what that does is that it helps you figure out who you are in the business plan and the business vision that you have. And we help you articulate your vision statement so that you can build a business plan and get started. So it basically gets rid of all the clutter, all the doubt, all the challenges, and frees a path so that you can clearly see yourself in your business. And so you can find out more information about that at our website. It's work4change.llc.com. You can also find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and of course, you found on YouTube. So please like, subscribe, and share so that we can work to make the world of work better. Thank you again, Ashley.
It's a pleasure.